Hi, everyone. This is Jonathan April from College Greenlight. Thanks for joining. We're going to be starting in about a minute. Give people more time to show up. Everybody who's here, you can put in the chat where you're signing in from. That would be great. We'd love to know where you're from. You can say hi to Johnny and Dr. Denny, Deidre. And we were excited to begin in a couple minutes, or in about a minute. Thank you.
Oh, that's true. Okay. Awesome. Yeah. All over.
Yeah.
Cool.
Great.
Good.
Hi, everybody. Again, thanks for joining us. I'm Jonathan April, the general manager of College Greenlight. I've been with Greenlight since it was an idea back in 2011, so 10 years. Thank you for being here and being part of our community, supporting first-gen students on their way to and through college. Thank you for being part of our learning community. We love to provide opportunities for all of us to learn together. And I'm really excited about today's event because I think this is going to be a great opportunity for us to learn lots of different things from our presenters, and also to learn about Transylvania University, which some of us know, but some of us don't. I'm excited to be here with Johnny Johnson, the Vice President for Admissions, and Dr. Deidre Denny, Vice President for Diversity and Inclusion. We have an hour block for today's event, including lots of time to answer your questions. Don't be shy. You can ask a question in the chat, or you can ask a question in the Ask a Question box. And now to today's presentation, I'm going to pass it over to my friend Johnny to begin.
Thank you, Jonathan. And we're glad to be here. We see all of the cities and states popping into the chat. So it's exciting to see people from all across the country. I wanted to just introduce ourselves and give a little background about who we are, and then we will jump into the presentation. So Dr. Denny, can you go first?
Hi, I'm Dr. Deidre Denny. I'm the Vice President of Diversity and Inclusion for Transylvania University, and I'm glad to see everyone here this afternoon. My role at the institution is new. I've been at Transy for 9 months, and I have come from a background in public education, public higher education. So I'm excited about my role at Transy, all of the good things I get to do. I'm responsible for developing and implementing programs and initiatives. I promote a thriving and diverse, multicultural, ethical, equitable, and inclusive campus culture. We are very much keenly interested in students succeeding and providing them with the resources and supports in order for them to do that. And knowledge is advanced and global engagement is championed. So that's my role. Welcome to ask any questions, and we'll answer them during this hour. So Johnny, to you.
Thank you. Yeah. And again, my name is Johnny Johnson. I'm Vice President for Admissions here at Transylvania. I'm originally from Chicago, so I see a couple of people from Chicago in the chat. I went to Morgan Park Academy High School, and I've been at Transylvania for about 10 years now. I've been in Kentucky for about 20 years, and we'll talk about our environment and the things that students can hope to find here at Transylvania, both academically and on the diversity and inclusion side of the house. And so we'll answer your questions, as many as we can get to, and we hope that this is the start of a strong relationship with many of you and your students moving forward. So with that being said, we'll kind of jump right into the beginning of our presentation. And I wanted you to see Lexington and Transylvania, because when you think of small liberal arts institutions, a lot of people think of rural or small towns. And Transylvania is in the heart of Lexington, Kentucky. And a couple of stats there, we've got over 300,000 people within Lexington, and we're right downtown within the city. So we're 2 blocks away from the main drag of downtown there. We'll talk a little bit more about that. But the opportunities are there for your students, because when you're in a city, your internships, your off-campus experiences, your cultural opportunities, your ability to make friends that don't go to the institution are much more numerous than if you lived in a small town. And so I think that's very important as you are talking about schools for your students and where they might look or where they might think about attending. So we'll get into some of those stats, but I wanted you just to see kind of a picture of the campus and the city in the background to see how close we are to things. As you all are thinking or listening to this presentation, and I'm sure your students have questions or you've got questions in mind, I want you to think about these as well. And we can come back and circle back to answer some of these questions. But the academic advisors, how available are they and how can we support your students when they're here? How do your students get involved when they're here on campus? And Deidre's going to talk a lot about the student organizations and the groups. What's happening in the surrounding community? Again, with us being in downtown Lexington, what are students doing within the city? Are there opportunities for cultural-based and faith-based activities for our students? And then what kinds of scholarships are available? At the end of the day, we always know that can students and families afford the education? So we know we're going to give you a good education, but we want you to be able to afford it comfortably and not let money be a thing that you're always thinking about while you're in school. And we know many of our students face that. And so we'll talk about some of those opportunities as well. Okay. Again, a couple quick stats about Transylvania and Lexington itself. We have roughly 1,000 students. And so we are a small private liberal arts institution within the city. There's 17 states represented and 5 foreign countries represented on campus. And when I say small, I don't mean small where that everybody's in your space. What I mean is you get a personal attention within the education. So 11 to 1 student to teacher ratio, that just means for every 11 students, there's going to be a faculty member available for them. And when you're talking about access to faculty members, access to educational support, that number is low for a reason. But because we don't want our students having to search for help. That should be readily available to our students. And so that's why that number remains low. And we want to keep it in that range. The average class size is 16 students. I often tell students, if you're looking for a place to go to class and hide, don't come to Transylvania. Okay, you can't hide at Transy. If your students miss a class, the professor knows. They know the student's name. They know that they know their schedule. So they're going to take a really, really big part of the education and take it to heart. You know, they want your students to be involved within their learning experience. It's not just about sitting back and taking notes, but it's about being involved in the class. So there are discussions, there's presentations, there's group work. Those things happen within the Transy educational experience. A lot of small private liberal arts institutions are what we call PWIs, private white institutions, right? Our student of color population is about 20. And when I say student of color population, I'm including racial and ethnic diversity, as well as religious diversity, LGBTQ community, and those who are disabled. So that's what I mean by student of color and our diverse population of students. A little bit more about, go ahead. Yeah.
Let me hop on here. So Johnny put a lot there underneath the 20% students of color population. If you back out religion and orientation and identity, we hover right around 18%. Okay. And so students of color are not alone at Transy at all. When we look at our faculty, staff, our employee population, those that identify as of color sits around 7%. And Johnny's right. When a student comes to Transy, there is nowhere to hide. First off, they're going to live on campus. You know, unless they live in Lexington with their mom and dad, if they're coming from one of these other states, they're going to live on campus. And when I look out my window of the student center, I'm looking directly at housing. So there's another situation where if I'm looking for a student, I'm going to be perched in my window, seeing them come out of housing and seeing where they're headed. And, and when they get halfway down the sidewalk, I might be coming around the building saying, hey, I've been looking for you. But it's not just me looking for them. There are other people that might be looking for them too. And because what we don't want is we don't want students of color coming on campus saying, I didn't see anybody, I don't know anybody, I couldn't find anybody. While there may be one of 2 or 3 in a classroom, depending on what their majors are, and we'll talk more about that in a little while, they are not the only one on campus. And people that look like me and Johnny, okay, so me and Johnny, and several other people will be connected to those students saying, what's going on? How are you doing? Where you been? I try to go to Student Government Association meetings. They meet on Wednesday nights, I think at 8 o'clock. It's some ungodly late hour if you work 8 a.m. to 5. But I show up, and now that we're in the Zoom world, I can turn my camera off. And then when they call my name, I can answer questions. And when I see students that I haven't, like, the only time I see them is on Zoom, and I haven't seen them walking around campus, or they haven't been by my door, and I'll be like, Ruben, where you been? Or, hey, Alexa, I see you. And they know that means Dr. Denny's looking for me, and she needs me to come and show my face in the place, because what we are not about to do is have students get enrolled and not have community, not have connections. That is not going to happen at Transy. So I'm sorry, Johnny, keep going.
No, interrupt me anytime. anytime. And again, what Deidre is saying is we care about our students. You're not going to advise those students to come to Transylvania and then we don't talk to them at all.
Right.
These 2 faces will definitely be talking to them all the time. They're going to see us, and then we're going to help connect them to different parts of campus. So thank you for adding that, because I think it's important for the audience to know.
Yeah. And everybody wants to know Aaron over in the student dining, because he always adds a little something to the plates. I like Aaron too. Right.
The other part, again, about being in Lexington, for you, for the advisors and CBO advisors and chairmen, if you're chairpersons, I should say, if you're sending your students away, to Kentucky, I just want you to know, 2019, we were voted the 3rd safest city in America. And so I think that's important for families to know that when they're sending their students away, they're sending them to a safe environment, not only on campus, but in the city. There are 6 other colleges and universities within a 40-mile radius, including an HBCU. A lot of people don't know that Kentucky has an HBCU, Kentucky State University. And so we have 2, Simmons, right? Simmons College. So there's 2, yeah. So again, your students will have those cultural experiences if they're looking for some of those things. Did you want to talk about Louisville and Cincinnati real quick, with those being an hour away from campus?
Sure. So Louisville, Kentucky, and I know you're like, what is she saying? Louisville, for those that are not from there. I'm from Louisville, which is why I pronounce it that way. But Louisville is only about 50 minutes up the road, and Cincinnati is another 50 minutes in the opposite direction. So we are really close to very large cities. Louisville, Kentucky has 1.2 million people, and it is about, I think the last time I looked at the census, 35% African American. And so it's a large and very diverse population of people in Louisville. Cincinnati's hovering right around the 24%, I think, on their diversity as far as race is concerned. And Procter & Gamble is in Cincinnati. And then you've got Brown and Williamson and Yum Center and a lot of industries and organizations that partner with Transy so that students have job opportunities, so that they have internship opportunities, as well as travel opportunities. So one thing that people don't think about Transy is, yeah, we're small in the middle of the city, but University of Kentucky, which is a very large public institution, is less than about 3 miles, maybe somewhere between 2 and 4 miles up the street, depending on what building you're going to. and we partner with that institution for student activities, because we recognize, being small, we can't always fill a bus, right? We can't always meet capacity for events, but by partnering with UK, our students still get to have that experience. And we don't tell them, oh no, please don't go down there. It's about building, Transy is about building community engagement and connections. And so whether you're going to Cincinnati to do that, whether you're going to Louisville to do that, we have Transy graduates in those areas that will meet students and help them figure out and find a pathway to connection to those communities if they just want that big city feel, but still coming to class every day, right? Still doing the work that they have to do. So it's a big city outside of the smaller city. We were joking earlier that Lexington is a city, but it's not as big. With 300,000 people, we're not Louisville and Cincinnati sized at all. Can you have some of the same experiences in Lexington? Sure you can. There's basketball and football and bars and shopping and restaurants. There's some really great restaurants. You can have all of that experience. There's public transportation even. So you wouldn't necessarily need a vehicle. But what you're not going to have are the traffic jams. What you're not going to have are people living on top of people.
Right.
You're not going to have that in Lexington.
The other thing I want to bring up while she was talking about community and connections we have a program called 100 Doors to Success. And adults, that you got to have that paper that says that you have the knowledge. You got to have the degree, but you've also got to have connections. You got to know people. And one of the things that Transy really likes to do is help our students get connected to alum or these corporations within, the area, because somebody's got to vouch for you. Somebody's got to sign the name behind yours that says this person's legit. This person has the knowledge. And so, again, we're trying to help our students get the knowledge they need, be strong community partners, but also make the connections to others so they can be successful when they leave Transylvania. Our students graduate in 4 years. We're going to talk about that in a second. We are not trying to hold on to students for 5, 6, or 7 years. Our students get their degree, they move forward, and then they're community. They're citizens. They're living where they are, whether they've gone back home or transported to another city, and they're working or they're in graduate school. So, our students go through the pipeline with the help that they need to get where they need to go. Okay. So,
Johnny, before you get off of that,
yeah.
The one thing about the 100 Doors is that, we immediately connect students to alumni that have similar background and interests. And it's a relationship that the students get to direct. So it's not like the alumni are coming on campus looking for them. We say, here's alumni that do what you think you want to do when you graduate, that have the same interests that you have, and reach out to them and they'll help you. And a lot of our alumni are like, oh yes, we'll help you get internships, we'll help you get summer jobs, we'll help connect you to the community. It's a very fluid relationship that you as a student can decide over 4 years what that's going to look like. At Transy, we have over 800 graduates of color across the United States and abroad. And our graduates, like Johnny said, work for very large corporations and own businesses, small and large businesses, nonprofits, not for-profits, for-profits. So a lot of different ways for students to get connected, because as a Black female in this line of work, and I didn't get here because of my CV necessarily. I got here through people knowing who I am, talking about me in a positive way, knowing I could do the job, and speaking up when asked, or even unsolicited said, hey, here's somebody you should be interested in, and pass my information, my credentials along. And so that is the beauty of the 100 Doors program. That's the beauty of the alumni relationships. And as a person that came out of public higher education into private, the level of engagement of our alumni will blow your mind. They are engaged in everything from fundraising to programs to coming to sporting events, to helping us figure out where we're going to get money to build buildings, the whole nine. Our alumni stay connected, and it's a beautiful partnership.
Yeah, totally agree. Totally agree. I'm gonna have you keep talking, Deidre, because we're gonna talk about student involvement now. And so the organizations that are under your office, your I Belong initiative, and then we can talk about some of the community mentoring projects that we have. But I just want the audience to know that more than 90% of our students are involved in community service. We keep hitting on it only because it's important. You know, you have to be contributing citizens in our society. And so we teach that as a part of the curriculum, and you know, pretty much not force, but really strongly encourage our students to be involved in different ventures, whether they're mentoring young people, whether they're doing things at the Habitat House, or maybe they're doing things at a soup kitchen, or they're doing other things within the community. So we really, really preach that, but we also want them to have a voice on our campus. And that's why these diversity organizations and these special interest groups are important, because we need students to find their voice and be present while they're there. They're to learn, but they're to grow and mature as well. So I know you love that picture. I'm gonna leave it there for you so you can talk about community involvement in the groups and things.
So, yep, this is my favorite slide out of the whole deck. So we have over 38 social organizations on campus. That would be fraternities, sororities, clubs, games, you name it. We have 11 leadership organizations, 16 academic honor societies, and 24 athletic teams. And we've just entered into the competitive esports arena, where we've hired a professional coach and we have a gaming suite. So we are the full cadre of experiences for students that want to be engaged and are looking to have roles of leadership. When I look at our SGA, so our Student Government Association, right now the Student Government Association leader, the president, is a Black female. Her name is Summer. She's dynamic, and I believe she's going to law school when she graduates from Transy, and she currently works in a law firm, right? So that didn't happen by accident that she got that job. You know, there was alumni that were like, we want her. We have partnerships with many of the law firms. We have a new one with a law firm called Densmore. And Densmore's put together a scholarship opportunity for students who are interested in law. So if you're a sophomore and you're headed down that law road, and they're going to connect you with people at the Densmore law firm that will help you get through your classes, support you. When it comes time for you to go take the bar, they're going to help you with that. They are going to offer a scholarship to a student to help pay for the bar, or maybe part of the fees to get into your law school. But we have serious partnerships with organizations that are serious about our students succeeding. So, and I don't want to beat that dead horse, so to speak, but I don't want you all to forget that being at Transy, what makes us different than a public institution is that we are so connected to our community, and that we are so connected to engaging our students in a full global citizen experience, not just the academic pieces, but all of the pieces. When I think about, so every day when I walk into my building, I'm in the student union, our brand new building, and I come in the door past the swimming pool. And usually when I come in, the swim team is there and they're practicing. And I look at them, not just because, you know, swimming is something I like to do, but there are Black swimmers. And you don't see that everywhere, but we've got Black swimmers and Black female swimmers. And as a Black female that's like, what's she do with her hair? But, you know, that's okay. She's figured it out, because every day I come in that building, she is in that pool. We have one of our Greek organizations is a renowned Greek organization, and their just previous president was a Black gentleman. And, you know, you're going to see a lot of barriers broken, a lot of hurdles moved out of the way, a lot of access points open, because that's who we are. That is who Transy is. We don't believe that you have to look a certain way or have a certain amount of money or any of those kind of things in order to be a leader on our campus. And so tennis, swimming, golf, cheerleading. I mean, what we don't have is probably easier. We don't have football.
Right. Right.
That's about the long and short of it. And then the other thing that's the beauty is our academic programs. And Johnny, I don't know if you're headed in this direction.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
But we allow students to develop their own degree. So while we have a lot of students of color who have majored in accounting, business, biology, international affairs, Spanish language and literature, neuroscience, right? So some big hitters. We've also got students that said, you know what? I want a studio art degree. Okay, we can make that happen. I want a storytelling studies degree. We made it happen. I want a degree in religion. We made it happen. Theater, exercise science, no problem. So we have our education tailored to the interest of the student in a very rich liberal arts doctrine of inquiry, critical thinking, experiential learning, and cultural competence. So, those are the holistic pieces. But we also have a lot of fun. I've started a campaign called I Belong. And one of the things that struck me when I came to Transy and I looked at our website is that it didn't have a lot of what I would initially pick out as diverse faces. Even though I might have known who the students were in the picture, they were a little on the light side. And so I started this campaign, and you'll see it coming soon when we get it all, I think in the middle of April, because we're almost there. And we're going to spotlight our students that say, I belong, and in their own words, tell you why they belong at Transy. And so that's a student that is LGBTQIA+, that is a Black student, that is an Asian student, that is a non-binary Hispanic student, that's a student that has a visible disability, a student that doesn't have a visible disability yet has a learning difference, veteran student. We have a student who is 60 years of age, and we're going to spotlight that student. And because we are the community's institution, we are the part of Lexington that makes Lexington vibrant because we bring so much to the table. So the I Belong campaign. We also have a program called Pioneer Pathways, and we partner with high schools, and we do a lot of programming for students that are grades 9 through 12. And this is primarily for students of color, so your African American students and your Latino students. And we partner to make sure that they know that Transy is open and available to them, what it's like to be in a college class, how to write a resume, how to interview, how to fill out your FAFSA, what does a FAFSA mean and why is it important? How do we just connect with the community? We're partnering with a group that does walking tours of Lexington, because when I got here 8-9 months ago, I found out from students that they don't really know what's on the other side of Transy. They know what's downtown. So I don't know, is that north, Johnny? I'm directionally.
It is, north.
North, but not so much east and west. And so we're going to start doing walking tours with our first year students so that they know where they are, because there's been a lot of building behind Transy. There's coffee shops and apartments and residential areas and parks and those kinds of things that our students don't know about because they're forward facing Broadway and going north to where the restaurants are, where Rupp Arena is. I mean, I'm going to be real. They're going to where there's a lot of fun, where UK is located.
Right.
And recognizing that right behind us on the other side of a wall is a really great coffee shop. There are churches. You can't throw a rock without hitting a church in the vicinity. I think there are 8.
That's a ton. That's a ton of churches.
You can see
within 3 blocks even.
Yeah. You can stand on the sidewalk and actually see them from your vantage point of Transy. So if there's a student that that's interfaith, that has a particular religion, our Muslim Student Association is strong on our campus. We have made sure that they have space to pray. We've opened a multicultural suite that's probably going to open right around May, right before graduation. We've got a donor that has donated several thousands of dollars in order to make that suite very welcoming to multicultural students. And we're allowing students to pick the programming. I'm not going to program what's going to happen in that suite. That is open to students' interpretation. And then the one thing that Johnny doesn't know about, but that I've done in all my previous institutions, and I'm going to do it again at Transy, is at Thanksgiving, and I didn't do it this year because of COVID, but my husband has this thing for fried turkeys and barbecue, and he's always looking for a reason. And so we usually host college students at our home in order to, because not everybody can go home, right? Well, with Transy, I'm going to host it on campus. And so my entire family is all in, and we're going to provide all the food for the students. So any student, regardless of race, creed, color, political persuasion, we don't care. If you're on campus on Thanksgiving Day, because you couldn't get home to your mom and dad or your family, or your travel plans went south on you and left you behind, we're going to host that on campus because it's about building community. That's what my office is about, building community and getting students to be very warm and welcoming with each other and with other people in the area so that they know what's going on. And we play games and we play music. So it's a good time on Thanksgiving. So Johnny, if you don't go home, you're invited.
Thank you. I appreciate you extending the turkey leg to me. You know, another reason I'm excited to be on this presentation is because of the work that you all do in your community-based organizations. I want you all to know that we're already doing some work within our community with some organizations here. One is called Common Good. It's literally 2 blocks from campus that works with African-American and Hispanic students within our community. We partner with the YMCA Black Achievers, and they're on our campus. There's a chapter in Louisville and one in Lexington. The one in Lexington has their sessions on our campus monthly. And before COVID, they were on our campus twice a month. This year we did Zoom, but they'll be back next fall. And then the other one is Alumni, which is a Hispanic group in Louisville. And so our community-based organization partnerships allows for scholarships, allows for academic mentoring, it allows for partnering, and our students are really involved with those groups. So again, I'm just excited to have this opportunity to talk with you all because we're doing some of those things that we want to expand to many of you that are on the call.
Oh, don't forget, Johnny, Pioneer Pathways, the program we have with the 7 high schools in the area. Mm-hmm. Students that come through that program get an $18,000 scholarship to come to Transy.
That is correct. That is correct. And we're going to talk about scholarships now because I know that's top of mind for a lot of CBO organizations. The first part is we want to make the application simple. We don't want a barrier for students to apply. Okay, so the application is free. It's on our website. Many of you work with students who might use the common application, which is a national application, or they can use the Transylvania application. We don't mind either one, whichever is simpler for the student, but the application is free. There's no application fee. We need the high school transcripts, and we only need 1 letter of recommendation. And we suggest either from you as their CBO advisor or from a high school counselor or from a teacher. We only need 1. They can get as many as they want. We only require 1. The essay or personal statement is optional. Now, I like to encourage students to write something because sometimes the transcripts don't tell the whole story. Or sometimes the student needs to express themselves differently versus what the grades say. And so I'd say, please write something. Give me a couple paragraphs. It doesn't have to be long. I'm not asking for a term paper. I really just want the student to write about something that they are passionate about or that they want us to know about them. There's not really an essay prompt on our application. We can give them one if they want one, but it's more fun, we think, for a student. When I say essay and fun, I got that in quotes because never writing an essay is fun, but write about something that they're passionate about. because then they get into the essay a little bit more than if I say, tell me you're the best book you've ever read. Like, they don't want to write about that. They rather write about something that they've experienced and they can really, really write about. And then the other part of the application that we are test optional, meaning the ACT or SAT are not required for admission, nor are they required for scholarships. Okay. A lot of schools went test optional during the pandemic, and that's really because a lot of tests got canceled. We've been test optional for over 5 years. So we have an understanding of reading transcripts, reading essays, reading recommendations, reading resumes without the burden of a test on a student's application. Now, I will put a caveat in that and say, I want students to take the test because I want them to experience that. But just know that Saturday morning 4-hour test does not define the students academically. It just doesn't. If they do well, it's awesome. But we know what those tests were meant to do, and we don't have to worry about that in terms of them being admitted or getting a scholarship. 4 years of high school tell me a lot more about an academic preparation for a student versus a 4-hour test. Okay, so make sure your students understand that. Our academic scholarships are going to be based on everything that they provide with their application. So we want them to put their best foot forward, meaning all those things that I mentioned earlier, plus anything else they want to present. Maybe they want to present a video. Maybe they are an artist and they want to put some of their work within the application. We want all of that. The academic scholarships range from $10,000 to full tuition. Some of the full tuition scholarships will require an extra interview, which we did through Zoom this year, but we love to bring those students to campus. And I'll put this caveat in there too. We have provided transportation for some students to get to campus for those interviews. So if there's a hindrance because the family can't afford to get there or they can't get a flight, we've helped out with that financially. So again, if you got some students that need to do that, let us know. Many of your students, you're working with are fine arts students, meaning they sing in the choir, they're artists, they're actresses or actors, they are creative writers. There are scholarships available for that on top of their academic scholarship. So again, we want them to be involved. Those fine arts scholarships do not require them to major in those fields. And I think that's important. Some of those scholarships you see out in the other institutions, if you get a scholarship in choir, you got to major in music. We don't do that. We just want students to be involved. Okay. And then also our Trailblazer scholarship is on top of fine arts and academic scholarships. And so as she mentioned, one of our partnership scholarships with the Pioneer Pathways, if that student completes that program, they're going to get an automatic $18,000 scholarship plus $5,000 gift as a Trailblazer because of they're from a diverse background. Maybe your student qualifies for a $25,000 scholarship. The $5,000 will be on top of that. So again, we're trying to make these things where money is not going to be the whole issue in terms of enrolling at Transylvania. I want to mention two more things, and then we're going to turn it back over to Jonathan for questions and some of your questions.
Johnny, before you do that,
yeah, go ahead. Yep.
I was on a call right before this presentation today and talking to the scholarship area, because one of the things that is top of mind for me as the diversity person is, what about a student that has full need, 100% need? Can we meet them? And the answer is yes, but we don't know if they don't apply. And we don't know if they don't fill out the FAFSA, right? Mm-hmm. So while we take a look at all of the things that Johnny talked about, what's your transcript, and did you do an essay, and do you have a letter of recommendation? We also look at what students are bringing in. We are truly interested in bringing in students that bring a lot to the table. And that does not mean a lot of money. This year and maybe last year, Johnny, were our two highest years of first gen students.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And yes. So we're encouraging all of you all. I was reading the questions while Johnny was talking about the scholarships and what have you. And, and so that's one of the things that you all can do for us, is to make sure that students don't automatically think that they're out of the running because they don't have money. We need them to apply because we do have the ability to meet full need. That's 100%. But again, if you don't apply, we don't know, and we can't make that determination or talk to you about what's available. I've got donors right now who are saying, how can I help? And I'm trying to direct them to unrestricted dollars towards scholarships, because we want to be able to add more money to the Trailblazer scholarship. $5,000 is a good start, but I'd like to see it be $10,000 or even $15,000, because our students are worth the investment. So, we are looking at partnerships with institutions, with community-based organizations, places like Chicago Scholars or Say Yes to Education or Posse, those kind of places and organizations that would bring us diverse scholars that we would not normally see, because they wouldn't normally look at us because they think we're too far away, right? Or they don't even know. As I said to Jonathan and Johnny earlier, I grew up in Louisville, Kentucky. I never heard of Transylvania when I was growing up. Just did not. Transylvania didn't hit my radar until my oldest child was around he must have been about 10 when we started talking about college and where were you going to go. And I thought, I got a great education in Kentucky, wonder what's out there for him. And Transy hit my radar then. And I thought to myself, how old are they? When did they show up? Is this some new stuff? Only to find out that Transylvania is the first university in the state of Kentucky. So UK can't say that, U of L can't say that, Simmons can't say that, the HBCUs, they can't say that. Transy can say that. And we have been really trying to uplift our profile so that students of color know that this is a place for them. But again, don't be like me, who grew up in Kentucky, grew up 50 minutes away and never heard of them. Glad to see all of these people that are here. But if you know of partnerships where students that, meet the criteria, so they've got good grades, they've got good extracurricular, and they want to apply at Transy, but maybe they're part of one of those programs, let us know. We'll partner with those programs to bring those students to Transy. This is a two-way street here. Thanks, Johnny. I just want to get plugged.
Yep. The last thing I wanted to say is, students are going to school to graduate and get careers. And as I mentioned earlier, we are not trying to hold on to students for 5, 6, 7 years. So we have a pledge that we make to students and families to kind of guarantee some things. One, we do guarantee that the students are going to graduate in 4 years. And if they don't, Transylvania is responsible for covering the cost of semester 9 or year 5. Okay, so let your students know that they're going to get a great education here. They're going to make connections and they're going to graduate. Okay, here's what the students have to do. And as and you already know this, they've got to declare their major in the amount of time that we set, and they got to pass their classes. They've got to do 2 things. If they do those things, we're going to make sure they graduate in 4 years. And the students don't have to declare their major until the second semester of their sophomore year. So our students don't have to know exactly what they want to do as soon as they walk in the door. Come to Transylvania and get used to being a college student first. You're moving away from home. You're meeting people you've never met before. You're in a new city. You're sharing space with people that you don't know. Get used to that. Get used to the classroom expectations. Then choose a major and graduate. Again, we're going to guarantee you do it in 4 years. If you don't, Transylvania covers the cost of that additional time. Number 2, we talked about costs real quick, and I just want you all to know that tuitions increase every year at every institution, including Transylvania. We allow families to lock in their tuition rate from the first year and pay that same amount over the 4 years. So your students will not experience an increase in tuition while they're at Transylvania. So once students know what their out-of-pocket is going to be, after their scholarships has gone through, after their financial aid has come through, once you know what your out-of-pocket is going to be, that's what you're paying over 4 years. No one, other institutions don't do that, right? They're going to raise tuition every year, and your scholarship doesn't go up every year. Tuition does, your scholarship doesn't. So we allow families to lock in the tuition rate first year, pay the same amount over 4 years. The last thing is, as you're making those payments, and again, these are details, but we do allow families to make those payments over 12 months. We don't want you to make a big lump sum in the fall and a big lump sum in the spring. Spread those things out. This becomes an affordable option for families because education costs. And so we want to make it where education, the cost is not going to be the thing that keeps them from coming to Transylvania. And we work with our families individually, just like our students, just like our professors work with the students individually in their classes. Admissions, diversity, inclusion, all of our staff, we work with families and students one-on-one, because we want to make sure they get the proper care and the proper knowledge as they're becoming citizens after they graduate. So with that being said, I'm going to turn it over to Jonathan. Our contact information is on the screen. I know we've got about maybe 15 minutes or so for questions. So Jonathan, take it away.
Thank you both for your energy, your passion for the work, for the institution, and most importantly for your students. That comes through clearly as you talk about the work. So really appreciate that. We do have a bunch of questions that came through. And Dr. Denny, thank you for addressing the question around cost. Thank you, Brandy, for that question about, we get students that are excited and they apply, but they don't attend. Dr. Denny has made it clear, Johnny as well, that there are scholarship opportunities. I know this team wants to get to know you and your organization and your students as a way to potentially fund students going forward. So definitely, let's keep the dialogue going with regards to that. A few other questions that came up. I really like this question. Another question for Brandy. Are there summer bridge pre-college programs for students of color? I have some juniors who would be more invested in going to Kentucky if they have prior experience with Transylvania. How can students be conducted earlier?
You know what's so funny? We just got notification of a potential grant that the institution can apply for a summer bridge program. And so we are working on something now that we potentially could do this summer and then summers moving forward. If Brandy Smith I'm thinking of, she worked with me at Camp College down at University of Sewanee. So I don't know if that's her, but it's going to be similar to something like that, where you're doing an academic component as well as the social and community engagement components. Because we want students to be prepared for life on a college campus, but also life away from their families. And those are two things that we want to help bridge before classes start. And so more information to come. Our grant paperwork is due April 15th. So it'll turn around pretty quickly.
Are there current programs or the current pre-college summer programs that students can participate in either virtually or on campus? I guess we don't know about on campus, but virtually this summer?
In terms of a bridge program, not now, but we do have a summer leadership retreat for students who have committed to Transylvania. That's run out of our student life office. Denise Hall is the kind of program coordinator for that. And we have guest speakers. We have, of course, kind of your little get to know each other games, but it's really for the students who have committed to Transy already before they get there for orientation. So not in the true bridge sense yet, but coming.
Anything for rising seniors to become connected earlier in the process?
So for those students who are starting to look at universities, look at colleges across the country, one, we have a lot of information on our website, including virtual tours. So if you can't make it at this point, at least go to the website, look at the virtual tours. We take you in and out of buildings. We have one of our ambassadors physically walk you around through the virtual world. But then, like I mentioned earlier, if you want to get to campus, we can help provide some access there. So if those individuals want to email me or email Dr. Denny, we can help with that. Brandy, okay, not the same one. Okay, no problem.
I guess obviously the many of our attendees are working for community organizations. They want to figure out how they can become more deeply connected. How would you like to connect with them? And how can also CBOs be a resource for you?
So I'll say something that Dr. Denny, you jump in. One, I want to know the individuals who work with these students, because Dr. Denny and I need to get your trust. If you trust us, then you'll send your students to us. And so I want to form a relationship with you all, tell you more about Transylvania, maybe provide you some information. I can send it through the mail. We can set up individual Zoom calls so you can meet with us individually to learn more about our institution. And we want to be a resource in terms of if your students just have questions about college in general. We can answer questions about Transylvania, but we also can answer questions about how to get on college websites, how to, what are some test taking tips? What is some essay writing skills? What are the questions students need to be asking as they tour colleges across the country? So we want to become a resource for you, not just so your students can come, but just so they're more knowledgeable about this experience. Particularly those who are first generation and maybe mom or dad or uncle or step parent didn't go to college and didn't have the experience that we had. So we want to be a resource for you and your students. Dr. Denny, anything else to add on that connection?
So no, I think you hit it all. You know, it's really about, while we are recruiting more students to our campus, we know we have a capacity of a certain number. So we're not going to ever be 1,500 students or 2,000 students.
Right.
That's not but we are committed to being a resource to students that are trying to figure it out, whether we're the right place for them or not. Knowledge is power, and information is key to that. And I don't want students floundering around trying to figure it out when Johnny and I are saying, you know, pick up the phone or shoot us an email. Students love email, right? No, I know you don't. But, you know, email us and we'll answer the question. We don't care where you are.
Right.
We'll answer the question, because we don't want you wandering around trying to figure it out and then missing a deadline or not getting your stuff in on time or thinking it's something that it's not.
Right.
We want to help you all as much as we possibly can.
Both Deidre and I have been in the higher ed for, I could say, I think 20 plus years, right?
Yeah.
So it's not about, of course, we have goals and things for our institution, but like she said, knowledge is power. So you don't have, Transy's not for everyone. Mm-hmm. And we can help you distinguish, kind of find that out. You know, we can help you to find out if this is the place for you, or we've got connections at other institutions. So if you say, you know what, I'm not thinking about Transy, but I really like University of Louisville, we pick up the phone and call somebody. You know, we can be a resource for the knowledge that you need to make the right decision.
Okay.
And one last thing that people won't tell you at other schools, but I'm going to tell you about Transy. Even though some of our scholarships are merit-based, and so you have to have a 3-point, you know, whatever it is, like gas prices, 3.98 to get the scholarship, and a, you know, and a 36 on your ACT and a 1,500 on the SAT and all of that. Sometimes we recognize that between high school and college, there is a transition, and sometimes students don't stay at that 3.8 GPA in their first year. We're not going to kick you off of a scholarship.
Right.
Right. As long as you're putting in the work and you're trying, you get to keep your scholarship, because we know it takes some time. And many institutions will not do that.
Right.
As soon as you fall below that GPA, it's over and out and you're out. We don't do that at Transy. Mm-hmm. It's about the whole student, what's going on and how can we help and support you.
I'm going to ask one more question. And you talked about not every student is going to be the right match for Transylvania. Our CBOs think deeply about this fit and match experience. As you think about students that thrive at Transylvania, who are they? How would you describe the students that are the right students for you all?
That's a good question. You know, the students that I've come in contact with, the students that I recruit, the students that I feel are successful at Transy, they are committed to their academics, right? College is not hard. So you do have to have a commitment to your academics. But our students are passionate about something. Could be passionate about their sport. It could be passionate about community service. It could be passionate about giving a voice to the voiceless. It could be passionate about, you know, their future. But they are passionate about, and they will let you know. I mean, the students that we come in contact with tell me, Johnny, this is why I'm here, or this is how I want to make a difference. So those are the students that I feel are successful at Transylvania. Committed to your academics, though, that's first and foremost. But then they're passionate about something that drives them every day.
Yeah, these are leader students. Mm-hmm. So they're good with building programming. If we don't have it, they're going to build it. They're leaders in programming we already have or initiatives, and they want to be a part of it. They are like Johnny said, they're passionate. We know we're not for everyone, and that's okay. Everything's not for everyone.
Right.
But you should know coming in. When Johnny said earlier, we have small classes, so you can't hide. We want students that are not interested in hiding because it's impossible. So if they're coming because they think that they're going to be a face in a crowd, that's not happening.
No.
Great. Yeah. Thank you both for sharing so much. You talked about passion. Clearly, you two have passion, and so yeah, it's great to see that come through. Any other last words, I guess, for our audience before we sign off?
Well, my last word is just looking forward to connecting with others and all the people that have chimed in today. Looking forward to talking with you down the road. And Jonathan, I hope we can do it again. So I hope this is not our only webinar, because we want to reach as many different people as possible.
Thank you for the opportunity. We have our contact information on the screen. Please use it. My expectations are that I'm going to hear from New Jersey and Texas and Alabama and California and Chicago. That I see over here, because we're real. Johnny and I are real. We don't sugarcoat things and prop them up and try to make them pretty. We gave you the truth. We're as transparent as we possibly can. And I mean, I've had parents call me and say, hey, my student is thinking about not staying at Transy. What can you do? And I go talk to the student to find out what's really going on. And if it's something I can fix, I fix it. If it's not, then we sit down and we say, maybe you'll, stop out for a semester and come back. But don't let this be the end of your education, because things happen. But we're excited to be part of this with all of you. So please reach out.
Yeah, thank you all. And thank you too. Thank you to our community. Thank you for being part of the Greenlit Learning community. We're excited to bring new voices together, support you all. As I always say, we exist for you. So thank you for being part of our community. Thank you all. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Thank you.